Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen, and we have been talking about Australia for years now. We've been warning about the pending bubble burst in Australia, and people, of course, called us crazy as per usual, but unfortunately we got vindication because something really big has been brewing in Australia for quite some time, and we are seeing the beginning results of that serious problem. And as this article out of news.com.au says, AMP downgrades housing forecast, now expects prices to fall 20% by 2020. And as it goes into, AMP Capital has revised its forecast for the Australian property market downwards as a perfect storm of factors turn the property boom to a bust. The wealth manager had previously predicted top to bottom price falls of 15% in Sydney and Melbourne spread out to 2020, or about 5% per year. In a client note on Thursday, AMP Capital Chief Economist Dr. Shane Oliver said that was now likely to be 20%. As credit conditions tighten, supply rises, a negative feedback loop from falling prices risks developing. That would take average prices back to early 2015 levels. Dr. Oliver maintained that a crash defined as 20% plus fall in national average prices was unlikely, but his revised forecast points to near crash territory. And I quote, "The risks are starting to skew to the downside, particularly around tighter credit and falling capital growth expectations, made worse by fears of a change in tax arrangements," he said. Auction clearances in recent weeks have been running around levels roughly consistent with 7 to 8% per annum price declines. CoreLogic figures show national house prices fell for the 12th consecutive month in September, with Sydney and Melbourne now 6.2% and 4.4% down from their respective peaks in July and November 2017. Dr. Oliver said the tide started to turn about a year ago due to a number of factors, including poor affordability, reducing the pool of buyers, tightened bank lending standards under pressure from regulators, and a significant pool of interest-only borrowers scheduled to switch to principal and interest in the next few years. Adding to that was banks withdrawing from lending to self-managed super funds, reducing the pool of property investors, and a sharp fall in foreign buyers due to Australian government crackdown. So there's a bit more going on in the article, folks, but I want to quickly get into a bit of this because, we talked about Sydney and Melbourne in the past. We talked about how the market was getting overheated. I've been talking to people in Australia for quite some time about this, and it was something that was brewing for a while. So, we see the return of a lot of things we saw in the United States around 2006 to 2007 actually happening in Australia. We see, the rural communities, off the grid kind of areas of Australia. Fine, it's not a big deal. Yeah, the real outback. But when it comes down to it, Sydney, Perth, Melbourne, they are seeing serious bubbles, and those bubbles have started to decrease in value. The pressure is being let out of those bubbles, and that's basically a bubble burst. We've been warning about it for quite some time, and John, I want to hear what you think about this. I mean, it's already been quite a fall just in the past little while. What do you think?
Well, I think it's like a broken record that we're doing because we're seeing this all across the world in the major cities, and the major reason behind it is, of course, a poisonous critter that lives in Australia. They're ridden with them, but it's probably one of the most potent poisonous critters that exist there, and it's the RBA. It's the central bank in Australia, Josh. That is the worst and most poisonous critter. Poured in poison into the economy. Now it's dying off because it's just getting into everywhere in the body, and there's nothing left, life in the economy because of the poison injection of cheap money into the economy. It's completely have devastated and destroyed the Australian economy. This massive low interest rates, and then just shoving money into the economy. Of course, Australia has been, a big economy when it comes to commodities. So I do see that they might have some luck there, Josh, that they could get over a big crash because of the current ownership of a lot of resources. I believe that's gonna probably be one of the saving features of any country coming up in the head of this massive, currency and debt bubble that we've blown.
I want to go into a bit of an article that I wrote after John and I did a video last December. This is December 19th, 2017 that I wrote this. And it says that the annual home value growth in March of 2017 in Sydney was 19%. It is now decreased by 1% at the time, which shows somewhat of a turnaround. Interestingly, Sydney makes up for nearly half of Australia's economy. HSBC's chief economist for Australia, Paul Bloxham, recently warned that the housing rally is almost over, but he claimed that it will be a soft landing. Well, we've heard that before. And the article goes further. I write these freaking articles every day.
I love their soft landings, Josh.
It's interesting looking back in history a little bit because let's see, we got 446 likes on the video, but we also got 22 dislikes and people saying that we were crazy. I don't want to go into all the comments, but
we say though, Josh,
yeah,
they're always crazy. Crazy conspiracy theorists with tinfoil hats that the markets have not crashed yet. So it's safe to just stay in the markets, guys. Stay in the Australian stock markets. You're fine. Nothing is gonna happen with you. Everything is gonna be we're gonna have a good time over the next 20-30 years. We're gonna see a massive growth in the world economy, Josh. And it's not going to stop. There's it's just a little speed bump that we might see because we're kind of slowing and flatlining on the debt to GDP ratio on the worldwide scale. I believe it's 280 something percent, but it's kind of flatlined quite a bit, and that maybe that shows you that the world economy has been injected with so much debt, so it's just going to take probably 4 times more debt now to keep that GDP going, because that's what it's all about. It's keeping that GDP going, keeping the push in for more debt into the world economy, because you need to pay off that interest rates of all that other debt that exists. And if that doesn't happen, we're going to have mass bankruptcies, and that's what these central bankers all across the world is faring on a massive scale. We just recently did that video on the Federal Reserve and the monetary policy of them. They went away from the quantitative easing, but meanwhile, they are in $1 trillion deficit, basically pushing that into the banking system, creating 10 more trillion. So it's a massive Ponzi scheme that has been built up here, Josh, and it's not good.
Yeah, well, I'm actually just still looking at, sorry, I'm looking down, guys. I'm looking at comments on the video that we did a while back ago in December, and we've done a lot more than the ones in December, but one guy says, I live in Sydney, and I'm currently looking at buying my first property in the next couple of months, a new 2-bedroom apartment for $800K. Should I hold off? And that was 10 months ago. And then another guy wrote, a house in Vaucluse, Sydney, just sold for a record $68 million. That was 10 months ago. I mean, and it's insane. And then, we have a few people just saying, you guys are fear-mongering, blah, 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 blah. It's the usual stuff that we get on all of our videos, but we always end up vindicated every single time.
It's not fear-mongering. We're just seeing the facts, guys. We're not trying to scare people. We're trying to actually tell the story about the world economy.
I would argue that in a way we should be scaring people because the truth is scary and people need to understand the truth in order to have solutions. I mean, in the end, what we are saying is a truth. And if you're afraid of the truth, then go hide in a hole and allow the meteors to hit you. Because, folks, if you want to actually save yourself and you want to see the positives, you must first understand the negatives so you can avoid the negatives with your positives, with your own due diligence, with your own actions, with your own ability, responsibility, self-sustainability, etc. Because this is a huge issue, and while yes, we are victims of the system, we cannot play the victim card either. We must break free from the victim card, because if we play that victim card too much, we become a victim of ourselves more than anything else. So we must learn how to break free from this centralized system. We must understand the debt-based system that's forcing us into debt servitude. We must understand the crashing fiat system worldwide and how it's always failed, going back to 1024 AD, 1,000 years ago almost. We must understand this in order to prevail, and we will prevail, and we will come out of this very strong if we understand the negatives. So yes, be scared. I think all of us were scared at one point, but I'm not scared anymore. I don't think John's scared anymore because we understand what's coming at us. We are feeling very secure in our own ability to avoid the inevitable, which we talk about so much, and that's why it's so important to spread. Because if we see, you know, a bunch of pirates coming at a ship, and you're like, well, let's not tell anyone because they might get scared. It's like, okay, well, maybe you should sail away. No, let's not talk to them about it because
when they come and pillage and rape you, it's a good time to do it. It's think about it this
way. It's like a
way.
police checkpoint.
The people, I was just watching a hilarious thing on Netflix called The Norseman, and it was literally like a whole bunch of monks and kids, you know, that the monastery would have helped, you know, kids that was struggling and so on, and they're just all sitting there, you know, all laughing, and you see the guy is like the general public sitting there just talking to them like, oh, you're having a nice speech, right? Everybody's just like trying to point, and it's like, no, just to calm down. And then he just get like literally like thrown an axe in the back of him and is dead. Yeah. That's what's gonna happen to the average investor that believes that, oh yeah, everything is good because the CNN, BNN, CNBC, Bloomberg, everybody's telling
The Onion.
That, it's good times. No, it's not the Onion. The Onion,
it's the same
actually
thing.
Tells the truth.
Yeah, that's a weird part of the reality of 2018. And you know, I want to mention quickly, because we are seeing this in other countries. It's not just Australia. We are also seeing, you know, the return of collateralized debt obligations. We see, like Wells Fargo is really pushing that. The mortgage-backed
derivatives back into the economy.
The mortgage-backed securities. We have the subprime mortgages, and we see massive lineups of thousands of people waiting to get their subprime mortgages. It's just, it's horrible. It's just terrifying.
This is the time.
Yeah.
Go for it.
And you know, the reverse mortgages, all that stuff, credit default swaps, folks. Let's learn from our mistakes, and let's ensure that we can protect ourselves and our family and ensure our wealth, food, water, shelter, self-defense, so you're not gathering things for the toughest guy on the block, and of course, gold and silver as wealth insurance. This isn't investment advice. This is simply historical fact. I mean, this is simply wealth. I mean, gold and silver aren't investments anyway. And on top of that, you have, you know, cryptocurrencies that are truly decentralized, that have sound fundamental value. Do your own due diligence. There's not many of them, but the ones that do exist are incredibly important to our prosperity going forward. John, final words?
Well, I'm actually looking forward to it. Talking about Australia, I talked to Jeff Berwick was recently, I think it was the CEO of Voltoro he was interviewing. And I didn't know that this was guy that actually gave Kenna her beautiful t-shirt that she was wearing, which was bankers. It was really funny. So I actually managed to get him, him to send me that t-shirt, Josh. So I can't wait to actually wear that t-shirt here at VAM finally, and really get the message out about what we need to do in order to survive in this economy from this economic leeches that is the banksters that are strangling every single person until they're dead. They're just making money on it. They don't care about the general public, you know, going bankrupt. They're losing all their assets and their lives. They just want to make money. That's what they're there for. And they are doing it and corrupting the world with their monetary system, Josh.
Yeah, and in hand with the state, collectivism begets collectivism, folks. And I have to mention that there's nothing wrong with being rich. There's nothing wrong with trying to be rich, but there's a huge moral dilemma. There's a huge moral dilemma in using force against other people to get rich, and, you know, creating a vast fraudulent enterprises and cartels. So anyway, thanks for going into this with us, John. If you're wondering what he was saying about Keenan Berwick's shirt, sorry, we had to bleep it out, but and we can't show it on the screen because YouTube will come after us. So you get the picture, though. Anyway, thanks for going into this with us, John. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth,
be the change.
Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so vastly demonetized and censored on YouTube, as these guys come in and flag all of our content as hate speech. Also, check out our Bitcoin address below, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out at steemit.com. We're at Josh Sigurdson. It's a future of social media where you get paid in the upvote of your post in cryptocurrency. Steem, that is. So make sure to check us out there. Make sure to join us at Anarchapulco 2019 with people like Ron Paul, G. Edward Griffin, of course, Jeff Berwick, Vid Jedlicka. So many incredible speakers are going to be speaking. It's just a massively growing event. It is something you have to see to believe. So make sure to check it out below and save money on your tickets by using promo code WAM, that's WAM, and I hope to see you there. Also, check out our newsletter as we are getting demonetized and censored and all that. We don't know what comes next, so we have an email, worldalternativemedia@gmail.com. Send us an email with subject line YES, YES, and we will include you in the newsletter where we will continuously keep you updated. So until next time, thanks for watching, everyone. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.